Welcome back to the Hot 7 Nightly News. Thank you for staying with us. As the current administration and the Fire Service Association continue to butt heads in the midst of industrial action, a former minister speaks on his policies on a similar issue 5 years ago. The leader of the opposition insists that during his government's leadership, resolve was brought to the Fire Service Department after its 14-day strike. Sonaj Alfred tells us more.
The leader of the opposition, Philip J. Pierre, says that resolve was brought to the St. Lucia Fire Service Association back in 2014 under the then government, the St. Lucia Labour Party. The 2014 strike of the firefighters lasted 14 days. The current strike of 2019 has lasted a total of 8 days as of March 20th. With the president of the SLFSA, Shane Felix, saying that the issues at hand are over 40 years old and have proliferated from government to government, Pierre insists that the real issues at hand are only rearing their ugly head due to the inadequacy of the current Alan Chasney-led government.
What we did in our time is clear. Number one, we improved the conditions of work for the fire service, and possibly that history has not been told. We built the Dennery fire station. We built the Grosley fire station. We built the Viewfort fire station. We built the Miku fire station. And we built the Babino fire station, which this government kept closed for 2 years. 1. 2. The fire service complained about the chief of the fire service. I don't know if you may recall that. The government, there was a commission of inquiry and he was transferred. He was taken away from the fire service. 3. The fire service complained of sexual harassment. When I met with them, we formed a committee with their agreement that they were on that committee to deal with the issue of sexual harassment. That document, as we speak, is in the offices of of some ministry. And if the government ever tries to say that's not true, I'll produce it.
Pierre says the lag time to follow up with the document in question has remained a sore point for both the members of the Fire Service Association and the St. Lucia Labour Party.
But it's this government's incompetence and this government's haste to condemn and reject anything that has been started by the Labour Party that has put them in that position with the fire service.
According to Pierre, the reports for the assigning responsibility for the execution of recommendations made by experts for the overall structure of the St. Lucia Fire Service has been at a standstill from 2016.
That was in April 2016. Then we lost the elections in June 2016, and this government has sat on these 2 reports. They've left it unattended to. They left the Babino station closed. So I must tell you, the fire service has issues. But to say that our government did not, and you must also understand that when the fire service went on strike for 14 days, no minister in the Labour Party ever threatened them. We never threatened the workers when they went on strike for 14 days. The strike, as I understand, has been on for 3 or 4 days, and you've heard the threats. 7 days, and you've heard the threats. So I must tell you, I understand and I agree that the fire service has issues, but our government, we did whatever we could within the resources available to us to solve these problems, as has been documented.
Pierre affirms that continued efforts to erase the legacy of the St. Lucia Labour Party from the history books of St. Lucia are not faring well for the current administration, who have come up against issues which, according to Pierre, can be handled with proper consultation on both ends of the political divide. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Sonaj Alfred.
Strong condemnation toward the attack on Muslims in New Zealand is coming from a St. Lucia-based Anglican priest.
A call for religious tolerance and human decency is being made by Anglican priest and Archdeacon Christian Glasgow against the backdrop of the Christchurch killings on Friday. 50 people were killed and another 50 wounded in shootings at 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, in the deadliest attack in the country's history. The Archdeacon has condemned the attack and the underlying hatred and prejudice toward people of different religious beliefs.
in response to that, I need to take you back to the Genesis. Genesis chapter 1:23. The fact being that all human beings are created in the likeness and image of God. We are created to reflect the honor and glory of God, and among other things, to live in community, whereby we are able to respect our differences, celebrate our differences, and still have a unity.
As it relates to the New Zealand shootings, 28-year-old Australian Brenton Tarrant, a self-described white supremacist, has been charged with murder. Archdeacon Glasgow says his prayer is for respect and love across the board.
One of our shortcomings as human beings is the fact that as we exercise our freedom of choice, sometimes we do so in an incorrect manner. And we have things like hate and crime stepping in. No one in any way can condone the senseless killings of persons regardless of color, class, race, or creed.
Many Muslims across the globe continue to decry what they say is rampant discrimination. The level of prejudice toward Muslims was heightened in the aftermath of the U.S. terror attacks of 2011. Since then, many Muslims say they have been profiled as terrorists and as a result have been the victims of hate crimes.
Prime Minister Alan Shastney has reiterated his government's position that unless there's a fundamental change to the operating structure of the cash-strapped regional airline Liat, the government will not agree to any investment deal into the airline.
Shareholders in regional airline Liat have requested that Caribbean countries contribute a total of US $5.4 million in an emergency fund needed to keep Liat going. The major shareholders of the Antigua-based airline are the governments of Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. 11 destinations have been given a deadline to respond to the airline's Minimal Revenue Guarantee (MRG) proposal. Under the MRG model, it is likely that a few flights may be cut if governments are not prepared to fund them with a guarantee. Prime Minister Alan Shastney says the short answer for St. Lucia is no.
A proposal has been made to St. Lucia that they're looking for us to put a one-time cash injection in of around $600,000 and that they would also like us to consider to do an MRG on. St. Lucia's position is very clear. We would not consider doing any of those things unless there is a significant restructuring of Liat. That we would know that the cost of running Liat is not going to be what it currently is. So my understanding is that they are in negotiations with the unions. They are in negotiation with the lessors of the planes. We have not gotten any feedback as to what the results of those negotiations are.
Last week, St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves said progress had been made regarding the future direction for the regional airline, adding that theoretically several countries have no quarrel with the MRG. St. Lucia's Prime Minister definitely has some concerns.
But as a point of principle, St. Lucia would be willing to support Liat, but under certain conditions. And those conditions are that we would be satisfied that the restructuring of Liat will be able to provide adequate service to this region at a most effective and efficient cost structure. Secondly, we believe there needs to be competition. There are a lot of ifs that are associated to your question. So the answer is, if in fact Liat remains the same, that St. Lucia would not participate. But if there are these fundamental changes, then we would be very happy to do that.
Prime Minister Alan Shastney says he believes the time has come for competition to enter the market, so Inter-Caribbean has begun flying to St. Lucia. The airline is prepared to base 2 to 4 30-seater planes in St. Lucia to fly to regional destinations. The Prime Minister says St. Lucia Helicopters is also looking to expand and acquire small aircrafts. Shastney referenced the Caribbean Development Bank study last year that outlined 3 options for Liat: shut down, privatize, or restructure.
The opposition leader in a press conference which was held at an unexpected venue demands answers from the government concerning the Owen King EU Hospital. Tresha Lionel reports.
The leader of the opposition has essentially called the Minister of Health a liar concerning her statements about the transitioning of the Victoria Hospital to the OKEU. Health Minister Mary Isaac, in an interview 1 week ago, shared that Health City Cayman is needed to assist with the transitioning. The minister alleged that while the government is encouraging the transition, it is now beyond the country's capacity. Leader of the opposition had this to say regarding the minister's comments.
Absolutely untrue. There was a commissioning team. The commissioning team was led by Dr. Stephen King. Is the minister saying that Dr. Stephen King is not competent? Is she saying that the team of civil servants and public servants helped by experts from the EU, is she saying that that team was incompetent? There is a document. The staff had already begun to receive training. There were aspects, there was an entire whole plan for the transition from the Victoria Hospital to the OKU Hospital. The government just abandoned it for their own purposes. They have said, so the idea that there was not the expertise in St. Lucia to run the OKU Hospital, that is absolutely not true.
The minister spoke during a press conference held on Wednesday morning. For the first time, the press conference, normally held at the Leader of the Opposition office, changed venue and was held outside the OKEU Hospital. Pierre explained the reasoning behind the move.
We wanted to show the public how an asset given as a gift to the people of St. Lucia, which in 2016 the Labour Party had formed a commissioning team led by Dr. Stephen King to get this hospital open. And as we speak, this hospital still isn't open, and the government is in the process of privatizing healthcare by handing it over to a foreign entity. This is why we choose this occasion, because I think that the public must get to know that this asset is closed, whilst the government plays politics with the healthcare of our country.
I am Tresha Lionel for Hot 7 News.
You're watching the Hot 7 Nightly News. We'll be back after this quick break.